Larry, dreadful numbers this morning. No sugarcoating it. Is this as bad as it gets?
Well, I don't know if it's as bad as it gets to. I don't think this pandemic contraction has yet fully run its course. Today's figures, 20 million. Actually, the households were down 22 million. This is a number that's full of heartbreak. Yep. It's a number that's full of hardship. President Trump has done everything he can to provide a rescue cushion for what we knew what was happening because of the virus. We had to shut down. That was the strategy. I think the numbers on the shutdown are really improving now. The virus numbers are flattening out. We're going to move into the reopening stage. But there's no question, this is a number full of heartbreak and hardship. There's no way to get around it. And Stu, to be honest, my model's no better than anybody else's model. Regarding the next month or two, which are really going to transition into a reopening of the economy, who's to say the numbers will not get worse?
Okay. So how rapid a recovery can we get if it's as bad as this in April and maybe as bad or worse in May? When do we start to see a recovery? Are you delaying your idea of when we get some kind of recovery into the early fall, late fall, maybe to the end of the year?
And no, actually, I don't want to delay. I'm just, kind of trying to face up to the seriousness and the gravity of these numbers. I believe, Stu, right now, we have begun the reopening phase. The president has put out the guidelines from the federal level. Our healthcare experts, president's been meeting with governors. I've been in a couple of these Oval Office meetings with governors. Yesterday, Governor Abbott of Texas outlined his reopening plan. We're seeing quite a lot of that now. It's a great thing. So I think we are in the reopening stage, and I think it will phase in May and probably spill over into June. And I think in the first instance, the economic and jobs numbers are going to continue to deteriorate. But on the other hand, again, I come back. I think you and I spoke about this perhaps last week. If you take a look at what the Congressional Budget Office is saying and what most private forecasters are saying, you see a very significant, perhaps calling it a transitional rebound in the third and fourth quarters. I mean, very significant growth rates coming off of the low and difficult base. And I think another point that I hope we get to is the president has a lot of ideas, not only how to reopen this economy and to transition into some strength at the back end of the year, but how, with appropriate policies, we can make 2021 an absolutely roaring recovery. He's done it once. We like to reward success and lower taxes and lower regulations and energy independence and better trade deals. These same policies can be put back into place, extending them in a number of areas that will give us an absolute roaring economy in 2021. And we will see very positive numbers in the second half of this year.
Well, the president meets with the Republicans this afternoon, talking about a new rescue package, more measures to get things moving again. But what can he actually do before the election? I mean, if you really want to get things moving, you've got to set your sights on the future. You've got to do something now before the election to get that economy moving. What does he have in mind?
Well, look, he has put out a number of ideas. Payroll tax holiday is one of them. Helping America reopen to provide tax incentives for tourism and travel and restaurants and, American sports, baseball games, golf tournaments, and so forth. He's put that out there. We want to help people onshore by rewarding them, by providing business expensing. We want to help people, by the way, who are going to
can you get it
really
done, Larry?
They're going to have to retool. They're going to retool many cases, whether it's large factories or small restaurants. They're going to have to retool for COVID-19 safety. And I think all of that should be fully deductible immediately. So those are just some ideas. Infrastructure, broadband out into the rural areas.
But can you get it done, Larry?
Everything is telework.
I mean, in the next 4 or 5 months, can you get it done?
Well, I don't know, and I'm not going to negotiate, with all respect. I'm not going to negotiate with you on this, and we'll see. Right now, we've had meetings yesterday, for example, Kevin Hassett and I, by telephone, had a meeting with, I think, 40 or 50 House members, both parties, Republican and Democrat, exchanging ideas. I think there's a pause in the formal negotiations. We're going to take a look at things at the end of May and early June and see where we are in the economy. So I don't know that, and I don't want to predict the legislative process,
Okay.
but I will say this, and this is the most important thing. The president achieved tremendous economic growth in his first 3 years plus. The beginning of this year, the first 2 months, we were growing at better than 3%. Here's my point. He is messaging, he is providing a growth incentive vision to small, medium businesses, middle-income folks, the blue-collar boom that we talked about so much. He's saying, look, I'm going to stick with the things that worked, and we will extend them and deepen them. And if we don't get it through this year, we will certainly get it through after the election. That's a very important message that I think should provide confidence and reassurance that this is going to be an open economy, a free enterprise economy. And by the way, as you know, we've used the free enterprise. They have helped us so much, the private sector, in all manner of these COVID recovery ideas.
Not all jobs that would have been lost are going to come back. Aren't we looking at a shift of many people out of the industry which they've been working in for a long time? I mean, travel, leisure, restaurants, bars, they're all contracting big time. That's going to force a lot of people out of those industries. Where are they going to go?
Well, those are tough questions, futuristic questions. Look, one thing I want to note about today's tough numbers is that 3/4 of it show to be temporary layoffs. And I say that, Stu, because this is a temporary virus cycle. This goes on now, in my opinion, a few more weeks or a month. It isn't going on forever. So the point is, people do expect to go back to work. 3/4 of the layoffs announced today are temporary. Now, that doesn't remove the pain, but that's the fact. With the unemployment insurance, with the PPP program, with the economic impact direct checks assistance, and lots of things, deferral of income taxes and student loans, lots of things that we've been talking about. You know, I think that rescue mission has actually helped. I think as a short-term emergency rescue with cash and liquidity. And I think that's why so much of today's number is a temporary layoff number. Now, to your point quickly, it's impossible to predict how important the technological innovation is going to be as we rebuild America with appropriate incentives so that individuals, entrepreneurs, and businesses can be rewarded for their success. Not punished, as some across the aisle, but rewarded. So I think, yeah, you're going to see a lot of restructuring. You know, safety first. We have to deal with that in any business. Things like restricting liabilities will be a big help, too. So all these things will go into the mix. And my sense is you're asking the right question, but I don't think any of us has all the answers. But America has a way. I mean, does it not, Stuart, over the last 200 years?
Sure.
That America has a way of innovating through these crises and coming out much stronger on the other side. President Trump is a total optimist on this point, and for what it's worth, so am I.
There ain't no place like America, and that is a fact, and that's why I'm here. Larry Kudlow, great stuff. Thank you very much for being with us, Larry. Always
Thanks,
appreciate
Stu.
it. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Sure thing.